Have you ever noticed that each and every bowling lane you come across is slippery? Have you ever wondered why that is? Before the early 1950s, the oil on the lane was specifically made to protect its wooden surface, but now it serves a different purpose. As a collegiate bowler, as well as a junior PBA title holder, I can tell you everything you need to know about bowling. Oil patterns are now used to add extreme challenges to competitive bowling, and these challenges include your physical game, equipment, pattern fluctuation, and mentality. Before we can understand why an oil pattern will affect a bowler's performance, we have to understand how competitive bowlers roll the ball. Rather than throwing the ball straight at the center, competitive bowlers will spin the ball to create hook down lane. This is pivotal because if you hit the center straight on, the bowling ball will deflect to the left or to the right of the pins, and this isn't what you want when it comes to knocking all 10 down. You want the ball to roll through the pins at an angle so the pins have no chance of leaving a split. Now that we know that, it comes down to how much you want this ball to curve. This would determine your bowling ball choice. In terms of technology, there are two main factors that can cause a bowling ball to hook more or less, and these factors include the different cover stocks of a bowling ball and the cores. The cover stock is which is put on the outside of the bowling ball has 4 different variants, and these variants control where on the lane you want your ball to hook. You have your solid, which is compared to sandpaper. The solid cover stock is used when you want to make the ball hook the earliest. You have your pearl, which is your shiny car wash polish looking ball, and the pearl cover stock is used when you want to hook the ball the latest. And you have your urethane, which is very strong sandpaper. The urethane ball is used to blend the patterns and friction and oil down lane. Plastic is basically just plastic and is used to shoot at single pin spares. Now the cores are what cause the ball to hook more or less. And there are 2 different types of cores. You have your symmetric and asymmetric cores. Your symmetric usually has the least amount of hook, while asymmetric bowling balls will hook the most. Seem complicated to you? Well, it's about to get a whole lot worse. Now that you know that, it's time to introduce the different oil patterns all competitive bowlers will come across. Whether you're at league or the tournament, the head of the house will provide an oil pattern sheet to everybody. And when it comes to reading and deciphering one of these patterns, there are several factors that come into play. The first and most important factor is deciphering the length of the oil pattern. A standard bowling lane is 60 feet long, and these patterns are typically grouped into short, which is 35 feet or less, medium, which is 36 to 42 feet, or long, which is 43 feet or longer. The length of the pattern will be the decision maker when it comes to ball choice because you can use your knowledge about cover stocks and cores to use the ball that has the best combination for that pattern. The second factor is the amount of oil that is placed on the lane in millimeters. This one isn't as important, but it's a good piece of information to know because it will indicate when the pattern will start to break down. Yes, you heard that right. The oil pattern will change as you bowl on it for certain amounts of time. Typically, the good versus great is determined how the bowler will decipher when the lanes are changing and when it's time to make a change with your equipment. And lastly, the hardest part about a lane pattern is the ratio in which the oil is put on the lane. This will determine how tight your target point will be. For example, if you miss by 1 or 2 boards, your shot won't strike. Now, all of that information is a lot to swallow for anybody, including bowlers, and this is where mentality and your mental game comes into play. An article written by the Behavioral Institute claims that any athlete's mentality will predict how a bowler will perform. When there's a lot at stake, and after every shot you have to think about all the information I mentioned above, it adds a lot of pressure to that bowler's mentality. And if you're wrong about a move, your judgment of the oil pattern can change if you don't get out of your head and your negative thoughts. This goes for every sport. One of my teammates, Bobby Habletter, said during a team meeting that bowling is 100% mentality and 100% physical game. And even if 1% is off of both of those things, you won't achieve your full potential. Overall, the oil patterns that were created made the sport of bowling a unique place to provide a challenge and outlet for talent. Bowling is a sport that is massively underappreciated, and I hope that this information has brought to light how bowling is truly a sport not to be reckoned with. Thank you.